When you look at this marker here, I'm looking at it, not even real. And so we're having this multi-sensory experience that's fascinating, but it's very limiting. Why? Because, hey, what's up you guys, I'm Fernando and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking the illusory nature of reality and how that might be blocking your video game. Now, why is that not cool for you? Because when you are blind to the nature of reality, you are just playing the boring levels and you're not having a good time. And so it's about having a good time. So in this video, I am aiming to go through with you guys the illusory nature of reality and how it's blocking your video game. We're gonna go over some of the byproducts, so to speak, of buying into the illusion and how that's getting in your way to playing a fun game. And we're gonna go over some of the stats that quantum physics tells us today of how illusory our reality really is. So you might know some of these things, you might not know some other things we're gonna talk about today. So either way, this is to help you remember the nature of the game so that we can play a free, fun, awesome game, level up, and just enjoy ourselves. Right? So illusion blocks your video game. Buying 100% into the illusion of reality is causing distraction, is causing noise, and it's making your experience not really fun. Illusion is the belief in separation. So we see things and we perceive reality as I am here, you are there. I am talking here, the camera's there, and you're on the other side. It goes against the idea of we are one. But it's part of the experience, right? What a paradox. And so when we believe 100% in separation, we've all been there, right? Is it fun? Not so fun. So to quote Einstein, he told us very wisely, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Right? We're gonna talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. Let's just go over the things that happen when we're believing in separation. It's basically the mentality of me versus you. Us versus them. Separation. Fear and hatred. Right? It's me versus you. So that causes division. That causes fear. Division. Which leads to judgment. It's all the same thing, okay? Division, you versus me. I am better than you. We are better than them. Or even the opposite, they are better than us, he is better than me, right? Judgment. Competition, you're competing. You believe that you have to defeat the other person, the other party, so that you can win. And this belief of competition is totally rooted in scarcity, lack. If you read Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich, you will know that in that book that was written over 100 years ago, we're not here to compete. Competing is about believing in scarcity. So if you believe in the illusory nature of reality and you believe in the separation, you believe in competition. Therefore, you believe in lack. Therefore, you believe in scarcity. Therefore, your mind is filled with judgment. By the way, by the by, judgment is a state of third dimension consciousness. So if you're judging something as good or bad, that's a third dimensional state of consciousness. The fifth dimension state of consciousness is a state of absolute non-judgment. Not good, not bad, it's like neutral. It's very deep, right? So yeah, believing in the separation is just amplifying the chaos, right? Now, why do we believe in the separation so deeply, so much? Why is it that As Einstein said, reality is a mere illusion, albeit a persistent one. We are being convinced at all times of the illusion, seeing separation. Guys, we live in a cosmic setup, okay? This is a giant cosmic setup, and it's designed this way for us to come here, the pure, infinite light that we are. We come here to experience this. So it's part of the setup, it's part of the design, and it has its place, right? And that's why we come here, because it's designed this way. But that doesn't mean we have to keep believing in it. We can be here, but we can also remember what the fundamental ultimate reality really is. So to explain this, to exemplify this, we can think of the video game analogy, which in metaphysics is a very common analogy, and I find it a very fun analogy. It's very easy for us to understand what's going on when we think about it. So if you think about a video game, you have the avatar in the video game. It's the playable character, right? And so it's me, like, I mean, it's my body. It's the character, Fernando. So it's my body and my mind. This is the avatar. But when you're playing the video game, you are not the character. You are actually you behind the remote control playing the character. Now, we are here, Fernando, the character, the body, the mind. But what's ultimately guiding us that transcends this? Consciousness, higher self, the soul. Right? The much bigger part of ourselves. And so it's literally the same thing. So we might believe in separation and how I am limited and meaningless, but that couldn't be more far from the truth. Because I am not the body, I am not the mind, right? I'm something bigger than this, and so are you, right? So the video game analogy alone is so fun and interesting. So, quantum physics explains to us today stuff that helps us understand why the illusion is so persistent. Because the body that we come to this game in is equipped with instruments, energy interpreting instruments, the five senses, right? And so everything you see, everything you hear, everything you touch, everything you taste, everything you smell, right? These are the senses literally as instruments interpreting pure energy and translating that into something that you can feel, hear, taste, touch, see. Now, this alone is pretty amazing. It's fascinating if you think about it. So when you look at this marker here, I'm looking at it, not even real. It's literally, I see it as is, but it's not what it is ultimately. This is like my eyes interpreting pure energy, and the beautiful apparatus that the sight is, it's translating pure energy into something that I can literally see the shape of. And, it's pretty fantastic, isn't it? And so we're having this multi-sensory experience that's fascinating, but it's very limiting. Why? Because visible light is the wavelengths from 380 to 740 nanometers. That's the range that we can perceive visible light with our human eyes. It's a range in a spectrum that's so much broader than the range we can perceive. So this range we perceive is less than 0.0035% of the whole electromagnetic spectrum. 0.0035%. That's nothing, guys. That's nothing. And yet we are basing our judgment on that. It's like, if I see it, I believe it. That's so limiting. That's so limiting. So metaphysics, spirituality is about letting go of that, accepting that, using that in the experience we're having fun with it, but also like transcending it. It's like reality is so much more than that, right? It's so much more. Now, the hearing range that our human ears can perceive goes from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's the range. So everything that's within that range, we can literally hear with our human ears. Now, anything that's less than 20 is infrasound, and more than 20K hertz is ultrasound, right? We can't hear those things that are out of our range, and yet animals can. Right? So are you relying on your senses 100% to believe things? And also to tap into the principle of like quantum reality. Quantum physics tells us about the observer effect and how the particles can be influenced by the observer. You've probably heard of that very fascinating story of how when you're in your apartment manifests right before your eyes. And when you leave, it goes back into nothingness. Guys, reality is totally plastic. That means you create your experience with your thoughts, with your emotions, with your beliefs. Awakening in the video game means remembering that you are not separate, that you are not meaningless, and that you can direct your experience in the game. Therefore, you can have an awesome existence in this third-dimensional plane. There is nothing set in stone. And this is beautiful because it gives you your power back. And remember, we are not learning these things, we are remembering it. You are not learning this, you are remembering it because you are not the character. You are consciousness. And as consciousness, the infinite light that you are, you've known this all along. But every time we come here to Earth to play the game, we forget everything. So you're just remembering it. So remember, reality is plastic. And so if you are letting yourself be guided by the illusory nature of reality, then that's blocking your fun game. And it's very persistent because our eyes are telling us literally at all times how I'm here and you're there. So it's a matter of allowing this and accepting this, but knowing that ultimately things are not as they seem. And so to unlock your video game is about keeping those things in mind and remembering that you're creating your experience on a moment-to-moment basis. So what's the quality of your thoughts? Therefore, what's the quality of your emotions? What's your predominant vibration? When you remember that this is a video game and that you are not the character, this allows for you to relax. Because we have a tendency to just not relax. We're just worried. We're just in fear, in competition, in separation. So we get to relax first and foremost, because when you relax, you are allowing the cosmic flow to flow through you and guide you. And then you remember that you can have fun in the video game. So when an adversity presents itself for you in your video game, it's like, it's just a video game. It's not the fundamental truth. So you relax before it. And when you do that, this negativity that presented itself to you just passes you by. It doesn't attach to you. It doesn't hook into you because you are not a match for that. Because ultimately you remember that reality is an illusion. And we get to play with it. We get to have fun with it. And so for a bit of a plot twist here, what would happen if everyone remembered that reality is a mere illusion? And everybody remembered literally that they were playing the game from higher up, above. Would the game be over? would we not need to come here for lessons again? Now this one makes you think, doesn't it?